to Left Back FPL Fan Focus.
Way!
Hey. Hello, listeners. It's Jimmy Ferguson here, and I'm joined by your good man, Captain Russ.
Good evening.
Evening, Russ. How are you, man?
I'm good, thank you very much. Looking forward to this evening, having a chat with Joe. Highly recommended and high profile in the FPL world.
Totally is. So, ladies and gents, this is Fan Focus. It's a brand new segment we're going to be bringing to you weekly. And the concept behind this is we'll be speaking to a FPL manager once every couple of weeks. And these people will have very high credentials. So today we're joined by FPL Zhou. Hi, Joe. How are you?
Hey, good to be here. Probably this is like just one of the first few times I've done things like this. So looking at the questions, they're pretty long, but I'll do my best.
Sure. I mean, we're just honoured to have you, FPL Joe. So I think the first thing I would do is just wanted to congratulate you on reaching your milestone, 10,000 followers on Twitter. I saw that the other day. Fantastic. Well done, man.
Oh, yep.
How did you do it?
Thank you. To be honest, I don't really keep track, what I do is because I love hanging out on Twitter. I love interacting with just basically anyone. And, I'll just try to use my time to, just help answer questions and just giving my opinions. I mean, some work, some don't work. I mean, I don't have 100% record, so I just like to interact with people. Yeah.
I mean, we could certainly do with getting some tips from you because we've only joined this season, and we're at a lowly 300 odd followers, I believe. But the podcast itself is doing very well. That's into its second season. So, ladies and gents, FPL Joe, if you're aware of him and you're one of his followers, he's been playing FPL since 2008. Across that time, he's had 5 finishes in the top 1%, and that's actually been in the last 6 years. Last year, the season 2019-2020, FPL Joe finished in the top 6,500 worldwide. Now, that's pretty damn impressive. And 2018, to add to your accolades, Joe, you were in the top 1,000 in the World Cup fantasy. So really, you know what you're doing, right?
Yep.
So there's no one better to learn from than you.
The World Cup fantasy was quite interesting for me because it was a new format that I played. I think it's similar to the Champions League fantasy. So it was. I had fun with it. Just picking those players and watching them live.
It was great. I remember it well because you do like the group's knockout stages and then you go into the semi-finals and the finals. And I remember Ricky Pellegrini, one of the pundits on our show, we did it ourselves, the World Cup fantasy, and we had a little league and I was top of the league. And going into the last game, the final, he bought all Croatia defenders. So his whole defence was Croatia. And I was so glad when they let a goal in because he lost it because of that. So it wasn't a good strategy.
Man.
But there we go. So FPL Joe, you're here to give the fans some real insight and intel. With your credential and your finishes, we've got a few questions we're going to fire at you and hopefully try and learn from you. So hopefully listeners, you learn from a proven, tried and tested man who's really hit some heights in the game. So, FPL Joe, I'm going to start with a fairly easy question for you. Who's your favourite team?
I've always been saying this. My favorite team is my FPL team. Basically, if you ask me to choose a team in the Premier League, I'll probably lean towards Man United.
Excellent.
Because my missus is a fan, so I gotta be like at least half a fan.
Yeah.
And I've actually lived in Manchester for a year.
Okay.
So it was a great experience, and we managed to catch a match at Old Trafford as well. So probably, have some personal experience with Man United. So it's cool.
That's amazing. And I think the good thing is, you're obviously saying it for me as well, because I'm a Man United fan. So I think we're going to get on well. Captain Russ, on the other hand, is a Spurs fan. But FPL Zhou, that's great. You join us all the way as well from Malaysia, ladies and gents. So big respect to this man.
Yep.
You must be watching the games when it's quarter to midnight or something.
The usual Saturday night matches here will probably, the early kickoff is about 7:30 p.m. here.
Okay.
And the big kickoff is about 10 p.m.
Not too bad
then. We'll probably have it's actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
It's only during the midweek matches that we probably we'll have a tough time, because it's about 2:30 to 3 a.m.
Yeah. I used to live in Thailand for about 6 years, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh wow, nice! I love Thailand.
Great.
Right, well, guys, whilst you reminisce, we need to get through a few more questions for the listeners. FPL Zhou, what's your favourite memory of FPL or player?
Okay. Good memories and bad memories. I will probably mention a few from the past few seasons. I think two seasons ago.
Yeah.
I remember captaining Aguero in a double game week, and he scored a hat trick. I think it was against Chelsea or Arsenal. I can't remember that. Yeah, and I got 57 points for one player on that double game week. It was huge.
That's more than Russ got last week.
It doubled.
I think it was a triple captain on Aguero.
Oh wow!
And the subsequent game week, when he plays at home against, I think it was Arsenal. I captained him again, and he scored another hat trick. So it was 2 hat tricks in 2 game weeks.
Oh wow!
Of my captain, that was one of the sweetest.
It doesn't get much better than that. Yeah,
amazing. And I would have been one of those FPL players that would have bought him the week after, and he would have scored absolutely 0.
Yeah, I'm sure Bill got on the bandwagon too late. So that must have been a great score then. So that leads me to the next question. What's your highest ever finish?
I mean, as you have mentioned, my highest ever finish is last season at 6.4K.
Yeah.
I to be honest, I really didn't expect that. At the start of the season, I was targeting top 50K.
Yeah.
But having reached top 6.5K, it was quite an experience.
Yeah, that's memorable. I'd love to know what that feels like. It must have felt good. And how are you getting on this year? What's the current rank?
Okay, current rank. I think if I'm not mistaken, too many digits involved. 1.5 million.
Okay.
Not the best of starts. Not the best of starts, especially game week 3. I think many of us had a heartache on game week 3. But yeah, I mean, I'm probably just looking at trying to hit an average of 60 points per game week. Hopefully, we don't have another repeat of game week 3.
Yeah, I mean, game week 3 really was a tough one, and probably for every manager out there, we heard something that if you did well in game week 3, it probably meant you've got a rubbish team. Because those people that were following the odds, and I did well, so I presume I've got a shit team. But the thing is, from game week 3 or any time this season, which players or transfers have worked for you this season, and what hasn't worked?
Okay, prior to this podcast, I've given some thought on it. I probably wouldn't say that I'm unlucky, but I've did some of the transfers that I did was pretty opposite of what I'm hoping to have, because like before game week 1, I had James Rodriguez in my team, and I switched him out last minute just before the deadline to have extra 0.5 million. So I brought him out, and Rodriguez, he had a double-digit score on game week 2, and I played my wild card on game week 3. I removed Mason Mount and got in Rodriguez, and Mason Mount had a double-digit score on game week 3.
Yeah.
So it was all about timing. Probably in hindsight, I probably should be more patient, or
we need the hindsight chip.
I mean, like Mount. Yeah, exactly. We need the hindsight chip.
It's a new chip
so
we're
that's
trying
one.
to get.
I mean, I reckon it's probably the most popular chip will probably be used at the early of the season. But yeah, so that's one of it. Another one is Danny Ings. I've had him on game week 1. For game week 2, I removed him and brought him Martial. And
hey, I did exactly the same.
So you guys know what happened.
What a mistake that was.
I still had Danny Wings. Good old Danny Wings. I mean, what does that tell you, though? Sometimes you make those last-minute decisions, but really, if you stuck with your gut, even Rodriguez, your gut said to go with him first, but the last-minute choices sometimes aren't quite right.
Yeah, but I mean, looking back, if I was in that position, I would probably do the same transfer again, because I really wanted that 0.5 million in the bank.
Yeah.
So, it was I would say it was a logical move. It just didn't work out at the end.
Is that an important tactic for you, to always have a little bit of money in the bank, even from the kickoff?
I couldn't remember last season whether I tried to have it. I think last season I didn't have it, so it was quite tough trying to move around the game weeks. But this season I stuck to my guns. I tried to have at least 0.5. I mean, obviously it didn't probably work out as much as I hoped, but it was I would say it was a logical decision.
Yeah. There you go, listeners. That's tip number 1. Always try and keep a little bit of money in the bank, because you're struggling. It's a great thought. I never thought of that. I always go for the whole 100 mil, go all out, like I got loads of dosh at the start of the season.
As in life in general,
Yeah, that's life in general, right? As soon as I have one beer. Excellent. FPL Joe, one of my questions was whether or not you've used the wild card. It sounded like, from what you just said, you have used your wild card.
Yep. I would say, us wildcarders on game week 3 really had a tough time trying to understand the scores. So probably you if you see on Twitter those really low scores, highly likely they are the ones who wildcarded. So yeah, so I was one of them. So I wildcarded on game week 3 because I wanted to jump on fixtures like Man City, Wolves, especially since I do not have any Everton players, so I wanted to jump on them as well. But yeah, Man City and Wolves didn't work out in the end. But hopefully they will bounce back this week.
And what's your tip about using the wild card? Because wild card 3 seems quite early to use it. We always try and avoid it, but do you feel using it around game week 3 is usually fine?
For me, I don't really have a rule when to use it. Usually, I would use, prior to this season, I would try to use it if I have problems in my team.
Okay.
Players that, teams that are doing badly and transfers that aren't working out. And also in the same time, fixture swings. So last season, I think I used it on game week 15. But this season, because this season is something different. Man City and Man United, Aston Villa, they blank on game week 1. So it's a little different this season. And looking at this season, some of my transfers didn't work out, and like I said, I wanted to jump on some other players. Yeah. So I decided to just pull the trigger on game week 3. That's
fair enough. So I guess if your team's struggling and you feel you need to get players in, the wild card should be used early on. It just all depends. Okay, that's great. And from there, I'm going to pass you over to Captain Russ, who's joined in the stands. Captain, you can take your COVID mask off now. You've got a few questions.
I have indeed. How you doing, Joe? You all right?
Hey, yep, good.
Good. All right. So basically, I'm just going to ask you, first question is, do you ever take a points hit? And for example, at the end of the season, you get the stats and everything. For example, how many How many, if you did take any hits, how many hits did you take last season?
Okay, I've